dictionary meaning of valedictorian address is to say farewell. Andrew was selected by you, his peers, to say farewell. Now I ask you, is someone who is intelligent, good looking, I think, an extrovert, and a good speaker, someone that you wish to represent you? Is someone who is witty, full of ideas, full of energy, excitable, someone you want to represent you? Well, you see the class of 88-89. Andrew made with you the last 4 and 5 years a time to remember. Andrew has been instrumental in keeping Laurier at the forefront of all of our thoughts, even though we are now at university, college, work, or even at another high school. I believe that rather than a farewell address, Andrew is the person who will demonstrate to all of us that these have been the best years of our life so far. We all feel welcome and invited back. And perhaps rather than a farewell address, we see Andrew as a person to invite us back, invite us to remember an outstanding year. Please join with me in putting your hands together to acknowledge your valedictorian, Andrew Thibodeau.
Your alarm clock goes off, and you get up about 4 hours earlier than you have been over the past couple of months. However, you jump up with a spring in your step and some excitement in your stomach. You tiptoe past your sleeping little brother, tiptoe past your sleeping parents, and you go into the washroom, close the door, turn on the light. Take a glance at the mirror, and you ask a question to yourself, I don't look any older than I did the day before. Adjusting the water on the shower, you step into the shower and spend about an extra 3 or 4 minutes in the shower than you normally do because you're trying to wash all those parts that you tend to miss in the past, the back of your ears, the small of your back, the bottoms of your feet, even in between your toes, because there's going to be no chance for toe jam on this day. After pat drying your body and stepping out of the shower, you wipe off the mirror and try to find that elusive part with your comb. With your hairstyle so that every strand is in place, you search through the drawers trying to find something else to add to your beauty. Ah yes, Q-tips. Can't go through this day without a clean inner ear. After Q-tipping your ears, then layering your armpits in antiperspirants, to your horror, you realize just how terrible your fingernails look. Since Mom is up now, you borrow her nail clippers and clip each so that they're a perfect half circle. Putting a towel around you, you walk to your room. Your clothes have been neatly laid out on your chair, set there with much consideration by you but the night before. Not a single piece of clothing is older than 2 weeks, and none of them has yet to be touched. You put your clothes on, you check your hair one more time in the mirror. You took a deep breath, and you said, I'm ready. What is this scene? The morning routine of a highly paid male model? What happens before a Paris fashion show? A commercial for Zest? A scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? No, it was September 1984. Typical house, typical neighborhood, typical students starting grade 9 at high school. If only we knew what we were getting into. What happened to us in high school? What happened as we went from 14-year-olds to 18 to 19-year-olds? What happened? I could speak about the numbers of our age. Sure, I could say we went from people who paid children's fare on the bus to 16-year-olds who could drive, to 18-year-olds who could vote, who could go to a restricted movie without a hassle, and finally 19-year-olds who could drink legally. But I don't think that was what high school was all about. Physically there was growth. Believe it or not, I was skinnier than this in grade 9. Weight was added to our frame, inches to our height. Hair suddenly grew where there wasn't hair before. And we had to overcome that terrible horror of acne. In that morning routine that I just outlined, over the course of high school, guys would add the routine of shaving, and girls add a little more time for makeup, a little more time for hair, and every so often shave their legs. But you know, that wasn't what high school was all about. Education, learning about the world around us, that's part of what high school is all about. We progressed from reading Keeper of the Isis Light in grade 9 English to Shakespeare's King Lear in grade 13. How about learning how to operate a Bunsen burner in grade 9 science? To in grade 12 being able to mathematically calculate the height of our homemade rocket, if it went off. But was the education that came in the form of numbers, definitions, dates, and places, was that education's only goal? Did knowing what the pathetic fallacy of Macbeth want to help us out there in the real world? Now sure, this physical knowledge, it gave us the qualifications to progress to jobs, college, university, but I'm positive that wasn't education's only goal, because it was the process. It was the process of learning. We learned so many things that we'll hold for the rest of our lives. We learned problem solving. We learned how to think for ourselves and be responsible for our own actions. We learned patience. We learned to conquer our personal biases and our prejudices. But most importantly, we learned that consistent hard work breeds positive results, and thus is worth the effort. And that's part of what high school years were all about. But you see, there was another key element of what high school made it so unique, is that every day we came to these halls to create our own victories. Now, immediately one would think athletics, one would think the conquest of games and going and the teams driving for a city championship, but we came here every day for so many other little victories. Whether it was getting that book read for English class, whether it was winning a game of cards while surrounded by a lot of people at a party, whether it was getting 85 on a test where the previous test you got only 65, whether it was making the final cut and being part of an athletic team, whether it was making an executive member of one of the school's councils, whether it was being on the stage and being part of the Christmas assembly and hearing one of your lines generate laughter from the audience, or whether it was liking somebody for a couple of months and finally being able to go out with them. We came here every day in search of those little victories. But I'll tell you something, that's what set Laurier apart, not only in London, but in Canada, because here there was such an abundance of victories to be had. As we walk away from high school, we'll take those memories of our quest for victories. Sometimes we were successful, sometimes there were failures, but as the Barbra Streisand song goes, it's the laughter that we'll remember of the way we were. And there was such an abundance of laughter to be had here at this great school. Remember the elation in the stands as Dave Woody kicked the field goal to beat Beale in the final seconds and eventually send the senior football team to the championship in '85. Whether it was being part of some great parties, whether it was Woody's and Gaz's rookie parties, or that mega bash that Alphonse had last year that was so big that you couldn't even park on the street. How about the excitement that the music students must have felt as their plane landed in England for their 2-week trip back in '87, a trip they had planned for over a year for? How about the joy of running out to the ice and hugging sweaty hockey players back in '87 when we won the hockey championship? How about cheering on the 4 neat guys as they sang "Don't Worry, Be Happy" at the outdoor pep rally last October, especially when they said that line that referred to our upcoming game against CCH, you know, our football team, they have some tricks, we're going to beat those Catholics. Or how about, and this is my favorite, pandemonium, tears of joy and happiness as I shouted the words at the last pep rally in June. We won. We won Moga. But you know what the biggest victory of all was? A victory that each and every one of us was part of? Was the overall triumph of the Ram spirit, we walk away from this place knowing that there was no other place we would have rather gone to. When you add athletics, when you add music, academics, the facilities here, and student council activities, staff, administration, community work, and just the general spirit, nothing even comes close to this school, and we each played a part in that. The school ring came in about a month ago, and something that's one of my most prized possessions. Upon inspection, most of you would think that I say that because on one side it says president, but I say that they're wrong. Because you see across this continent, presidents of councils and clubs in any school can get a ring that says president. But there's something that sets my ring apart, something that sets me apart, something that sets us apart. There's the other side of the ring. It has a ram, and the top it says, it's Wilfrid Laurier. I'm so proud that I went to Laurier. I feel so proud to wear my Rams jacket, whether it's around college or whether it's around the city. But I'll tell you what I'm most proud of. I'll tell you what the underlying significance of high school is all about. And I've known it for quite some time, but ironically, it was revealed to me only a week ago tonight once again. And this is a little unorthodox, but I'll tell it this way. Sitting around Dave Reed's just playing cards, me, him, Alphonse, one of Dave Reed's friends from work. He's a little older than us. He suddenly asked us to guess what his age was. After a few guesses, he gave us a hint by saying he left high school about 6 years ago. For some reason or another, Alphonse asked him, whether it was fate, I don't know why, he asked, do you miss high school? No, not really. He said, well, yeah, I miss the people. I miss the people. It's the people. It's friends. That's what high school is all about. It's friends. They can influence your enjoyment of classes. They can alter your decisions to join school organization. They can often determine what parties you go to. They can affect your ability to study. They laugh with you. They cry with you. And they're there when you need them. That's what high school is built on, a foundation of friends, not only between students, but between staff and students as well. What bound us all here together was not only our common love for Laurier, not only our common quest for victories, it was friendship. Because it's friends who give meaning to those victories. It's friends that give life to those memories of high school. We're not going to remember the score of that hockey game that won us the city championship. We're going to remember the people and the friends that we shared that joy with, that undescribable feeling of pride and togetherness. Goodbye is such a hard word to say, but that's what we're saying today. I'm going to miss you guys all so very much. I shed many a tear at the last pep ride, not because I was leaving high school. I was leaving a building full of friends, whether students, staff, or administration. My friends, take care in the real world. May your dreams become a reality, but most importantly, don't forget the learning process. Don't forget the quest for victories. Don't forget the memories, and don't forget the friends that made being green and blue so special in our hearts. Laurier is not going to forget the contributions of that group over there. The class of '89 is out of here. Thank you.
This year's president of the council.
Andrew, on behalf of the student council and the students here at Laurier, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. I'd like to mention two things. First, it is indeed a pleasure to get presented to by Tanya. I remember trying to convince her a couple months ago to run for president. I'm glad she's here. The Rams video yearbook is available for sale to the grads afterwards for $15. This is a paid promotional fee, but no, But secondly, at the reception afterwards, last Tuesday, I put together a video clipping of last year, specializing the look on the grads, and I really hope that we'll probably present in about 15 minutes, that everybody kind of sticks around and takes a look at it. I know that it'll bring back many fond memories, and once again, thank you for the best moment of my life right now. Thank you.
Mr. Little, I want you to realize that I made Andrew a promise, or I made him make me a promise. When he's finished university, he's going to law school, and I have first dibs on him.